now I think the size of this image is, let's just take a look and see. We can, oh, there, the tooltip lets us know. It's 800 pixels by 600 pixels. So in other words, it's actually 800 pixels from left to right and 600 from the top to the bottom. So when we're talking about the width, we're actually talking about from left to right. And so if you can think about the fact that my image is actually, the original size is 800 by 600, then I'm pretty much narrowing it down to a thumbnail by saying 100 pixels. And since the height is a couple hundred pixels less than the width, then that would give me some ideas what height I might want to set it to keep it from being too distorted. So in that case, I'm going to put 80 pixels. And then we'll just go ahead and save that. And once you get your image ready and decide on what size you want to display it, and just go back over to your browser and refresh. And then you can see that the image has been changed to a different size. It looks maybe like I should probably narrow that height down just a little bit more. It looks just a little bit distorted, so we'll bring it down to 65 pixels. And then we'll just refresh it. And there, that looks a little bit more natural for that image. One thing I wanted to discuss about displaying images on your web page, there are sometimes when someone comes to your website, you can easily right-click and save the picture on their computer. However, the best practice is not to take images from other websites without that website's permission. It's kind of like writing an essay and including information from someone else's article in your essay that you really didn't create yourself, and it's called plagiarism. So there's a lot of photography websites and a lot of websites that include their own images, and there are copyright notices on those images. So make sure that you always have permission before you use someone else's images on your website, or even linking to someone else's image. You may want to get permission from them before you link to their images. So yeah, I thought that would be pretty important to mention while we're on the subject of images. Okay, so you can see pretty much how easy it is to include an image in your website. So let's go ahead and create our next tag. It's called the alt tag. There's going to be definitely times in your web page where you're going to want to include a link to either another page or another website. You may have a friend who has a website and you would like people to visit their website. Just kind of give them some advertisement from your website. Like I said, always make sure that you have the other person's permission before you link to their website. They may not necessarily agree with some things that you have on your website, and it's also good for you to make sure that if you're linking to someone else's website, that the content in their website is something that you agree with. But there's definitely going to be times where you're going to need to link to something on your website, and in order to do that, in our demonstration, we're just going to link to the Google search engine webpage, which is www.google.com. And in order to set a link within your web page that when a user visits your web page and clicks on that link, the browser will automatically redirect them to a different page, you want to start with an open bracket and an A. Anytime you see the A within a bracket, you'll know that is definitely a link tag. Unlike the image where we included a source so that the browser would know where to locate the image, here in the link tag we're going to use something called an href. And right offhand, I'm not real sure what the abbreviation stands for. I'm sure it has something to do with a hypertext reference. maybe, but it's what you would use to allow the browser to know, okay, if someone clicks on this, this is where we want them to be sent next. Include your equal sign, and then of course you're going to have your open and close parenthesis. And you also want to include an alt tag within your links to give some description of the link itself and where it's going to go. And in our case, we're just going to put Google search engine. Okay, so then we want to close that bracket, and we want to have a closing tag with a / and then an A for this link. Now, if we save this like it is right now, we don't have a reference to where we want this link to go, and if we saved it and we viewed it in our browser right now, it's basically not going to show up. It's kind of like putting information in the body tag. If you don't include something between the opening and closing A tag, it would be like having an opening and a closing paragraph tag with nothing inside there. It won't show up. There won't be anything there on the page. So as you can see here, even though I have the paragraph tags within my web page coded, since I didn't put anything inside of it, it would be like having the opening and closing body tag with nothing in there. It would just show up as a blank screen. So you always want to make sure that you include something between those two tags. So normally you want to have something in there that will reference the user to know, if I click on this, pretty much where it's going to take me. So we're going to just put in here Google search. And then of course you want to include the web address. A lot of times when I'm referencing a link, I just put simply www. If you want, you can always include the HTTP and then the www, which is always probably the best practice. That way there's no chance of sending the user to the wrong address, which can be pretty frustrating. Okay, so we have our opening and our closing link tags that is represented with an A. We have our href, which signifies to the browser where we want to send our user, with the address in between the two paragraph tags. We also have our alt tag that will enable people with disabilities who may be using software that will tell them what link this would actually take them to. So let's go ahead and save that and view that in our browser. Okay, so now we can see we have our Google search that we put within the two opening and closing tags. We also can see that usually when you hover over, the alt tag will show up like it does here on the image. Not sure why it's not showing up here, but that also works as a tooltip, and it just kind of gives the person an idea, where is this going to take me if you're not real descriptive with the wording. So let's go ahead and test that link out and see if it takes us to the Google default page for Google search, and there it is. And you look up here in the browser, you can see that it's the http www.google.com. So that's pretty much how to include an image with an alt tag and a link to another page within your website. I hope I didn't go too fast, and I hope this helped you to understand how to implement your image and a link in your web page. In the following tutorials, I'm hoping to begin working on some tutorials. As a matter of fact, I will. In my next series, we're going to start discussing CSS, which is cascading style sheets, and that is a huge part of web design. It will help you to become familiar with coloring your page, setting paragraph tags and aligning them up, and just giving your web page a little bit of organization and design. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Like I said earlier, if you have any questions or if you're having any problems with what we've covered in the tutorials up to this point, please leave a comment and I will do my very best to help resolve any problems that you may be having. And I want to thank you again for viewing this tutorial, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video tutorial.